Welcome to another science exploration. Today, we're going to explore about adaptations, and we will deep dive into the adaptations of trees and animals in the mangrove swamp environment. We are going to look at examples to explore how trees and animals adapt in the mangrove swamp environment.
Okay, picture this. Have you ever stepped in that deep, squishy, smelly mud at the beach? Now imagine if you actually had to live in it all the time. Well, that's exactly what life is like in a mangrove swamp. It's this super harsh, extreme world right at the edge where the land crashes into the sea. And here's the crazy part. It gets flooded constantly by ocean tides, which means it is absolutely soaked in incredibly salty water. But wait, it gets even tougher. The ground beneath you? It's not normal dirt. It's this soft, super thick, oxygen-poor mud. I mean, it's essentially a suffocating mud trap. So to survive in a wild place like this, normal tricks just aren't going to cut it. The plants and animals living here are forced to develop highly specialized adaptations. I'm talking about extreme, literal biological superpowers that you simply won't find anywhere else on Earth. Let's find out how they pull it off.
Section 1. Mangrove Tree Adaptations, Superpowered Plants.
So the absolute wildest thing about this mud is that it has almost no oxygen in it. Have you ever tried to hold your breath underwater? It's tough, right? Well, if you were a normal tree and you buried your roots in this swamp, your roots would literally suffocate. I mean, you can't survive without oxygen. But mangrove trees, they have a brilliant adaptation called pneumatophores. Try saying that 3 times fast. Pneumatophores. It's a massive word, but it basically just means breathing roots. Instead of growing down into the suffocating mud, these trees actually grow these vertical roots that shoot straight up, high above the mud level. They act exactly like snorkels when you go swimming. These special roots let the plant pull oxygen right out of the air. It's an absolute life-saving superpower.
Okay, so how does this tree not just fall over? Because remember, the mud is super loose, soft, and constantly shifting. A normal tree would topple right over, especially when the strong ocean tides and those heavy waves crash into them. Well, to fight back, mangrove trees develop what we call prop and stilt roots. They grow these massive, arching roots that extend way out from the trunk and dig deep into the ground all around them. It's kind of like the tree put on a pair of heavy, spiked boots to anchor itself. This totally tangled root maze provides incredible support, locking the tree in place so the strong tides can't wash it away. Actually, without these massive stilt roots, the entire tree would literally wash right into the ocean during the very first storm.
Now, imagine chugging a huge glass of salty ocean water. Blah, absolutely disgusting, right? If a normal plant drank that, it would completely dry up and turn into a giant raisin. But mangroves have a super clever 2-part salt management system. First, they actually filter the salt right at their roots. The roots act like these strict little security guards, physically blocking the salt from ever entering the tree. But, some salt always manages to sneak in. So the second part is salt excretion. The tree literally sweats out the extra salt crystals through special pores right on its leaves. If you look really closely at a mangrove leaf, you can often see these sparkling white salt crystals just sitting right there on top of it. How cool is that?
Okay, this next adaptation is going to blow your mind. It's called the vipary. This basically means they give birth to live young? Yeah, a tree. Instead of dropping normal seeds, the mangrove tree grows its babies while they're still attached to the parent's branches. Think about it. In a normal forest, a tree drops a seed, it lands on the dirt, and eventually it grows. But in the mangrove swamp, if a tiny seed fell into the shifting tides, it would just wash out to sea instantly. So these trees grow long, heavy seedlings called propagules. They grow long and pointy. Honestly, they look a lot like green lawn darts. And when they're finally ready, they detach and drop straight down, stabbing deep into the soft mud below. And since they're already grown, they immediately take root and start growing before the unstable tide can wash them away. It's a total game changer for their survival.
And finally, for the trees, let's talk about their armor. Thick, waxy leaves. Living out in the blazing hot sun surrounded by all that salty water makes it super easy for a plant to lose its internal fresh water. So the mangrove wraps its leaves in this thick, shiny, waxy coating. This built-in armor locks the fresh water inside so it doesn't evaporate, and it completely protects the leaf from salt damage on the outside. Some of these leaves even have special spongy tissues tucked inside, designed specifically to store extra water and control the salt levels. Honestly, between the snorkels, the spiked boots, and the waxy armor, these trees are the ultimate survival machines.
Now let's splash over to Section 2, Mangrove Animal Adaptations, Swamp Creatures.
First up, we've got an absolute fan favorite, the mud skipper. Just look at this little guy. This is an amphibious fish.
Now wait a second, a fish that lives out of the water? Yep, the mud skipper is perfectly adapted to a habitat that's sometimes underwater and sometimes just totally exposed mud. Instead of swimming, it uses its strong side fins to literally walk and skip across the top of the mud. And to breathe while it's out of the water, it doesn't just rely on gills like a normal fish. It actually absorbs oxygen right through its wet, slimy skin and the special lining inside its mouth. It's literally a fish that has conquered the land.
Next, we have the ultimate master of excavation, the fiddler crab. To these guys, the mud in the swamp isn't just dirt, it's their absolute fortress. Fiddler crabs use their claws to dig these deep, incredibly intricate burrows way down into the soft mud. And why do they do it? Well, think about it. When the tropical sun is blazing hot, they just dive into their cool, dark burrow to escape the heat and stay perfectly moist. Plus, when hungry birds or raccoons come poking around looking for a quick snack, the crab just darts right back into its impenetrable mud bunker to hide. For the fiddler crab, the mud is both their home and their ultimate shield.
Now, if you're ever looking closely at those tangled mangrove roots, you have got to be careful where you step. Meet the mangrove pit viper. This snake's superpower is ultimate camouflage. It has evolved these incredibly specific colors and patterns that let it blend perfectly into the twisted brown roots, the dark mud, and the green leaves. I mean, it becomes practically invisible. And this camouflage is actually a two-way superpower. First, it allows the viper to stay hidden from big birds that might want to eat it. But at the same time, it lets the snake be an invisible, stealthy hunter, just lying in wait for a tasty frog or lizard to wander by. Sneaky, right?
Okay, now we absolutely have to talk about the apex predator of the swamp, the massive saltwater crocodile. Remember how the trees had to fight off the salty water? Well, the crocodile has to do that too. It has an unbelievable built-in salt tolerance. Because it hunts in the salty ocean tides, it needs a way to not get sick from all that salt. So it actually has specialized salt-filtering glands built right into its body that constantly remove excess salt straight from its blood. This superpower means the saltwater croc isn't just trapped in the ocean or just a river. It can completely conquer and live in both freshwater and saltwater.
While the crocodile definitely gets all the glory, we cannot forget the true unsung hero of the swamp, the mangrove snail. This little guy has a highly specialized feeding habit. It just slowly slides around the mud and roots, happily feeding on algae, dead and decaying mangrove leaves, and old organic matter. Now, why does this matter so much? Because as the snail eats all this dead stuff, it breaks it down and recycles those vital nutrients right back into the soil. It's essentially the swamp's ultimate cleanup crew. They do all the dirty work to make sure the soil is rich and healthy for the trees. Honestly, without this tiny snail, the whole ecosystem might literally collapse.
And all of this brings us to the absolutely most beautiful part of the mangrove swamp: interdependence. Every single piece of this giant puzzle completely relies on the others. It all works perfectly, step by step. Step 1. The superpowered mangrove trees use their massive roots to stabilize the loose soil and create a solid habitat. Step 2. Those exact same tangled roots provide a safe underwater shelter and a nursery for baby fish and hiding crabs. Step 3. Animals like our little mangrove snail and the crabs break down the dead leaves and recycle those nutrients straight back into the mud. That feeds the trees, starting the whole amazing cycle all over again.
It really is just one massive, perfectly connected web. The whole mangrove ecosystem shows us this incredible teamwork between land life and marine life, perfectly balanced in literally one of the toughest environments on Earth. From trees with built-in snorkels to fish that can actually walk, nature always finds a way to adapt and survive. So it kind of makes you wonder, what kind of superpower would you want if you had to survive in the mangrove swamp? If you find the video informative, please like the video. Thanks.